All right, let's dive into Diwali. I know we've all heard of the Festival of Lights, but today we're looking beyond the celebrations. We're exploring a blog post by Preethi Prabhu. She goes into the scientific side of Diwali and finds some interesting connections between ancient customs and, well, modern science.
What's fascinating about Diwali is that it's more than just a religious festival. It's tied into the rhythms of nature and holds huge cultural significance, especially in India.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Preethi says Diwali is usually in October or November. What makes that time of year so special?
Well, it's a major seasonal shift for India, especially the north. It's moving from monsoon season into cooler, drier weather.
Feels like a time of change,
Yeah.
both in nature and for people.
Exactly. And this transition isn't always so smooth. Think about it. You have humidity from the monsoons and cooler nights coming in. That creates a perfect environment for bacteria and germs to grow.
Ah, so that means people are more likely to get sick then.
Exactly. And that's where Diwali traditions become really relevant. Of course, the most well-known part of Diwali is lighting diyas, those oil lamps.
Right. Millions of lights.
Yeah.
Illuminating homes and streets.
Yeah,
but there's more to it than that, right?
Preethi has a pretty interesting theory that lighting a diya could actually be a natural disinfectant. The chemicals from the flame might actually purify the air around it. Like when the oil burns, it releases formaldehyde, which has antibacterial and antifungal properties.
Wow. It's amazing. So it's like a huge cleansing ritual.
Yeah. And the effect is even bigger when you think about how many diyas there are. It's like creating a cleaner, healthier environment. It really shows how much wisdom is in these traditions.
It makes you think.
Yeah.
Maybe our ancestors understood these scientific principles, even without all the knowledge we have today.
It's definitely possible. And this purification idea goes beyond just the air. Think about keeping a diya lit after someone dies.
That's interesting. So the light from diya
Yeah.
has this theme of cleansing and renewal.
Exactly. It's about getting rid of darkness, literally and metaphorically, and starting fresh.
Okay, so we've talked about air purification, but Preethi also mentions diyas influencing the electromagnetic field. This word gets kind of complicated for me. Can you explain that a bit?
Sure. The theory is the electromagnetic waves from the lamps interact with our skin and could stimulate blood cells and boost our immunity.
Wait, are you saying the light itself
Yeah.
could have healing properties?
It's a pretty interesting concept, right? To really understand this, we have to look at what electromagnetic waves are and how they affect biological systems. Our bodies are constantly interacting with all these fields.
Right, like radio waves, microwaves,
Yeah.
even light from the sun.
Exactly. And those waves carry energy. Now, the waves from a diya don't have much energy, but some research suggests that even these low energy fields can change biological processes at the cellular level.
Okay, so the diya sends out waves, and our bodies pick them up. But how does that lead to better health?
Well, some studies have shown that certain frequencies of these waves can make blood circulate better and help cells grow. It's still being researched. But the idea is the light from the diyas might interact with our cells in a way that improves our well-being.
So it's not just about feeling good.
Yeah.
Because it's a festive time. There might be a real scientific reason for that feeling of rejuvenation during Diwali.
Exactly. That's a key point Preethi brings up, this connection between the Diwali traditions, the light from the diyas, and a sense of well-being, both physical and mental.
So it's not just a coincidence that Diwali happens when people are more vulnerable to getting sick. It's almost like these traditions were meant to fight those seasonal challenges.
It really makes you appreciate how ingenious and wise these customs are, and it makes you wonder how much we can learn from traditions passed down through generations.
Totally. It's like we're rediscovering the brilliance of our ancestors in the 21st century.
It's so interesting how traditions like Diwali combine science, spirituality, and culture. It reminds us that the answers to modern problems might actually be found in our own history.
Yeah, it's like we're rediscovering ancient wisdom in this tech-driven world. But speaking of modern challenges, one thing that stood out to me in Preethi's post was how she connected Diwali's focus on light to the issue of air quality.
Oh, yeah, that's super relevant with all the rising air pollution in so many places.
Especially cities.
And it's not just outside. Preethi even points out that our air-conditioned spaces can actually trap germs and make people sick.
It's true. We think we're creating these clean bubbles, but we could be making it easier for germs to spread.
So Diwali's emphasis on purification, with all the diyas and the rituals, suddenly seems really important and practical.
For sure. It's almost like these traditions were meant to address the exact problems we have today, even if our ancestors didn't know the science behind it.
Like they understood
Yeah.
how important it was to have a clean and healthy environment.
Right, both physically and symbolically. And that symbolism is key.
Light represents knowledge, purity, the victory of good over evil, and Diwali, with all its lights, is like a powerful symbol of these values.
It's not just about lighting up our homes and streets. It's about lighting up our minds and hearts.
Exactly. Light can really lift our spirits and chase away darkness, both literally and figuratively. And Diwali, with all its light, makes that effect even stronger. It creates this shared sense of joy, optimism, and renewal.
So when you think about that psychological boost, along with the health benefits we talked about, the air purification, the electromagnetic stimulation, you start to see how much deeper these traditions really are.
Absolutely. It's not just superstition or faith. There's a reason why these practices have been around for so long. They connect with something deep within us, something that resonates with both our scientific understanding and our cultural heritage.
Now I'm curious about how Diwali is celebrated in different parts of India. Preethi mentioned that's a much bigger deal in North India compared to the South. Why were there these regional differences?
That's a great question. Diwali is celebrated all over India, but it has regional nuances. The main message of good over evil and the symbolism of light, those stay the same. But the specific stories and traditions, they often reflect local beliefs and customs.
So it's like a tapestry, woven from different threads, each one representing a unique part of Indian culture.
Exactly. In North India, Diwali is closely tied to the Ramayana and Lord Rama's return to Ayodhya after he defeats Ravana. This victory is celebrated with a lot of fanfare because it symbolizes good over evil.
So there's a big emphasis on the story, the narrative of Diwali.
Yes. And in South India, Diwali is often linked to Lord Krishna defeating the demon Narakasura. It's so interesting how these regional differences add layers of complexity and richness to the festival.
It shows that there isn't one single definition of Diwali. It's a festival that changes and adapts and takes on different meanings depending on where you are in India.
And that's what makes exploring these topics so rewarding. You peel back the layers and discover something new every time. You start to appreciate the diversity and the underlying unity of a culture as rich and vibrant as India's.
It's like looking through a kaleidoscope. Every turn shows a different pattern, but they're all connected by the same basic structure. But beyond the regional differences, what broader relevance do you think Diwali has in the world today?
At its core, Diwali is about hope, resilience, and the power of good over evil. Those are universal values that everyone can relate to, no matter your background or beliefs.
That's a beautiful way to put it, and I think that's a perfect transition to our final thoughts on this journey into Diwali. Welcome back to Research Review Radio. We've been learning about Diwali and uncovering all this scientific insight and cultural significance.
It's really amazing how a festival this old is still so relevant today. We talked about air purification, electromagnetic stimulation, even how light can affect us psychologically.
Yeah, and we even touched on how Diwali is celebrated differently in different parts of India, which makes it even richer. But as we wrap up, what's the one thing you'd want our listeners to remember?
I think the best thing about Diwali is that it connects us to something bigger than ourselves. It's a celebration of life, a reminder of our shared humanity, and a light of hope in a world that often feels pretty dark.
I love that. It's about seeing that light, both inside us and all around us.
Exactly. And that light can be anything. Kindness, learning, even just the joy of being with people we love. Diwali encourages us to find those sparks of light, not just during the festival, but all year round.
It's like a reminder that traditions like Diwali aren't just about rituals and celebration. They give us a way to live a more meaningful life.
Absolutely. And that's what makes exploring these practices so great. We learn more about ourselves and the world around us.
So to everyone listening, when you light your diyas this Diwali, remember, you're not just following a tradition. You're connecting with something much bigger. A mix of science, culture, and human experience that's been around for centuries.
May the lights of Diwali guide you towards a brighter, more fulfilling year.
And that wraps up our deep dive into Diwali. We hope you enjoyed it and maybe even found a new appreciation for this beautiful festival.
Remember, the search for knowledge and understanding never really ends. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep those lights burning bright